Hello guys, welcome to Salesforce Predator. In this channel we discuss about various concepts and technologies in Salesforce. This video is part of Lightning Web Component series. If you want to watch other videos of LWC or any other concept in Salesforce, do visit the channel. So in this video we are going to discuss about the handling of UI errors in LWC and the validity attribute in LWC. Okay. So the first question, why do we need to validate user input? Right. So suppose there is an application where user needs to enter some fields and submit it, so the records is saved into the database. Now we can validate the data at server side also, right? But why to unnecessarily make server call if we can restrict the user from submitting the data itself, right, on the UI? Also, it might be possible user have skipped some required fields, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, right? So to avoid this thing, we can validate the user input on UI itself before the submit button. Also, for example, there is a telephone number field, but user is entering a text field over there, right? And then after saving at the back end, we can see that instead of telephone number we have a text field over there. So to avoid this thing also, and to avoid exceptions at backend, yeah. So if a particular field is expecting a number and we are sending a text over there and some other operations are being performed, it might result in exception at backend while saving the data into database, right? So to avoid all these uncertainties, it is very important to verify the user input before sending the data to the server itself, right? And how we can validate the user input in LWC. So there are many ways. We can use a standard validity attribute of LWC. We can have a custom validity. We can set the custom validity, and we can do and achieve all this using custom code also, right? So in this video we are going to discuss about standard validity attribute and how to set custom validity. Okay, so let's go to our VS Code, and we already have a Lightning Web component created in our previous video, which we are going to use in this video. And for those who are directly going into this video, so I'll explain this component. So here we have 4 Lightning inputs, and each of them is bind to a custom objects field. So I'll show you the custom object. This is the custom object which we are using over there, and we are using first name, last name, then age and career goal fields in this, and we have bind this to this lightning inputs. Okay, and then we have a custom button over here, on click of which we are saving that data, the user input data, into a player object record. Okay, I'll show you that. So this is the component which we have added in our player objects record page. So if I enter particular data, say Ronaldo, Chris, and 34 and 7G80, and click on submit. So it will give me an alert, player data created successfully. And if I go on to the player object list view, I'll be able to see a newly created record. So this is the newly created record with all the data we have entered. Okay, so let's get back to our component. Right, so what all things we can validate at UI, let's see. So first thing, what LWC provide is we can add a required attribute to the fields which we feel are required to be entered by user. Okay, so suppose these 3 fields are required. If I save and deploy these changes to Salesforce org, we'll see what happens when we refresh this page. So code has been deployed. Yeah. Now suppose if I go on to this field and I do not enter anything and goes out of focus for this field and click somewhere else, so it will give me an error message, right? So this is just a validation message, even if I submit now, it will allow me to submit the record because we have not handled this thing on submit button, right? We have just handled on this particular field itself. Now for example, I don't want this complete this field message. I want to have my own custom message, custom error message when a required field is missing. So what I'll do is I'll use another attribute that is nothing but message when value is missing. Okay, and here I'll write as this is required field. Okay, and copy this and put it on all the three fields, the three required fields, and save changes. Okay, also suppose I want to decide the max length for particular field, right? So for example, the first name should not exceed 10 characters, and the last name also should not exceed 10 characters, and age should not be greater than or less than some particular value. So I can achieve that also, right? So there is an attribute like max length for a text field where we can specify the max length for particular field. Now what this max length will do, it will restrict the user from entering more than the 10 digits, 10 characters, okay, for this particular field. And if we talk about number field, so for that we have max and min attributes, okay. So if I put it down here as min equals to 0 and max equals to 30. Suppose min I'll write is it as 10, and I'll save the changes. And here also I'll make it as required field. Okay, the fourth field also I'll make it as required. I'll save the changes and deploy this to Salesforce org. Refresh this page. Now when if the value of particular input field is missing, then this message should be shown for this particular field, right? So if I click on this field and do not enter anything and click outside, so it is giving me a custom validation message, that is this is required field instead of the earlier message, right? So if I also we need to verify this max length thing. So if I try to enter more characters, yeah, so this is 10 characters we have entered. Now in mm, it's not allowing us to enter more than 10 characters. Okay, so I'm trying here, but it's restricting user from entering more characters. Similarly for last name we have entered max as 10th, and for age suppose I write it as 0 and click outside, so it will give me a message the number is too low. Similarly if I write age as 40 and click outside, it will give me number is too high, validation message, right? Apart from this, we can have another validation like validating a pattern. So first name, it should not enter any special characters. So for that, what I'll do is I'll write a common pattern for alphanumeric validation. Okay, so validation, this should be for last name also. And in the JavaScript, we'll write the pattern. I already have a pattern for alphanumeric validation, so I'll use this one. Yeah, and we'll save our changes. Okay, let's deploy this to Salesforce org. Let's refresh our record page. Now in the first name, it should not allow us to enter any special characters. Okay, so let's check. So I'm entering color and clicking outside, it will give me an error, right? So your entry does not match the allowed pattern, right? So we can set a custom message similarly as we set for a required field. Okay, now I'll enter all the other fields. Now guess if I click on this submit button, what will happen? Will it allow me to submit the record? So let's click on this. Yes, it is allowing me to submit the record. Why? Because this validation we are checking on change only, right? But on click of submit button we are not checking the validation, any validation, and we this way it is allowing us to create the record. So if we'll go on to the clear list view, you can see a new record is created. This is nothing but the record which we created now. Okay, so what we can is we can use the standard validity attribute to prevent user from submitting the record if any of the input is invalid. Okay, so for that I'll add a class to all of this lightning input. Okay, so this class is needed because we want to have the list of all lightning inputs. Okay, so that we can check before the submitting of this form. So I'll give it a name as input field and add it to all lightning inputs. Let's say changes. Now I'll create a common method which will verify whether all inputs are valid or not. Okay, so let's name it as check if error where are all inputs valid. So I can name it as all valid equal to true. We'll initially keep it as true and we'll get the list of all input fields. Okay, so and how we'll achieve that? We'll use the class which we have defined now for all the inputs and use the template dot query selector method, right? So this dot template dot query selector all, right? We are going to use query selector all method. And the class name was input field. Now we have a list of all inputs, so we'll iterate over these inputs. Inputs dot for each, and we take variable as input. Right. Now for validity attribute we have two methods. Okay, so first one is check validity and another one is report validity. So what check validity do? Check validity will check whether that particular input is valid or not, and report validity will report to the UI that whether input is valid or not. If it is invalid, it will show the error message. If it is valid, it will not show the error message. Okay, so if condition, and inside that I'll use input dot check validity. Now if it is valid, then it will return true. So if apply not of this, then I'll report this. Report validity. Right. So if the input is invalid, then I'll report this validity. Okay, and I'll make this flag as false. Correct, and we'll return this flag. So unexpected token. Okay, okay, this is outside this method I'm writing, should be inside this method. Right, we'll save these changes, and before this save clear method, what we'll do is we'll check for this check if error method. Right, should be this dot check error method, and we'll put all this code inside this method. Okay, so only if this check error method returns true, then only we'll make server call. Otherwise we can add else an alert message that please remove all errors before submit. Okay, we'll save the changes and we'll deploy our code to Salesforce org. Let's check if everything is fine. Save clear. This is the class which we have used. Okay, let's check directly into the Salesforce org. Let's refresh this page. Okay, so I have not entered any value and these are the required fields. Right, now if I click on submit button, yeah, it is showing me the alert message, please remove all errors before submit, and so it will not make a server call, right, and it will display all the error messages. Right, now for all the upper three, the first name, last name and age, I have changed the custom I'll change the required message. Right, we have made it a custom message, and for this we have not changed it, so it is giving this way. Right, so this way we can use the standard validity attribute to prevent user from submitting the form even if a single input field is invalid. Right, now remember, for first name we have used max length attribute, right, to prevent a user from entering more than 10 characters. But there may be a situation where your client wants the user to enter more than 10 characters, but on click of outside this particular field or on click of submit button, then an error message should be displayed that this field cannot accept more than 10 characters. Right, so there may be a situation. I have gone through this situation, so I have checked for it, and we have this custom validity method, so we can set the custom validity of particular field so that a custom error message would be displayed over there. Right, so we have a custom validity thing, so we can set a custom validity for particular input field. Okay, so let's check what it is. So what we'll do is we'll remove this max length attribute from first field, and inside this save okay, so inside this set clear data, that is on change of this particular field, what we will do is for only for this first name field we'll set the custom validity. Right, So we have this target element. We'll use a data set, so data set is also there, right? So what I'll do is I'll check if it is a first name field which has been changed by user. So if target element dot dataset dot field name equals to first name, so data field name attribute, and inside that what I'll do is I'll check if target element dot value dot length is greater than 10, right? Now if it is greater than 10, then we are going to set the custom validity for this attribute, right? So I'll set target element dot set custom validity, and if it is less than 10, then we'll remove custom validity. So how you can do that? For setting the custom validity, you need to specify the message. So it will be like first name cannot exceed 10 characters, and for removing the custom validity which you have set, you have to specify a blank string over here, right? So you have set the custom validity. Now if a user has entered more than 10 character, then on click of submit button, it will check if any validity is false, and it will return this value as false and not allow user to proceed. Okay, so we'll save and deploy our changes to Salesforce org. And let's check if we can achieve what we have done. So you can achieve this using complete custom code also. You can go on writing a separate div for each lightning input and handle it using a conditional attributes also, right? So let's check first name now. Yeah, so we are able to enter more than 10 characters now, but if I click outside somewhere, then it will give me a custom validity message which we have set, that is first name cannot exceed 10 characters. I suppose I'll write all other fields correctly, say 25 to 32, and click on submit. So it will give me error, that is the custom validity error which we have set, the first name cannot exceed more than 10 characters, right? So in this video we have gone through the standard validity attribute in LWC, and also we have seen how we can set the custom validity for input fields, right? So guys, we'll wrap up this video here. Please subscribe to this channel as I'll be coming with some more videos on interesting topics soon. Thank you.